Hi. So let's talk about the structured query language or SQL in detail in this lecture. Like I mentioned previously, that SQL provides a standardized way to communicate with the database management systems. It is applied and used by all the relational databases. So when we talk about classifying the SQL, we can say that it is made up of DDL, that is the data definition language, DML, which is the data manipulation language, DCL, the data control language, and TCL, that is the transaction control language. Now we come to the data definition language. So as the name specifies, it is defining the database objects. A database or a schema is made up of many objects and tables are the primary part of that. So the first thing you would like to do is to create a table, and you do that with the DDL command, that is create. So for example, you have created an employees table using the create command. Now you would like to add another column to that for gender. So you can use the alter command to add a new column to that. You can use alter command to add other things also like constraints or keys, but let's not talk about it now. You can issue a drop command to remove that object or table from the database. So in nutshell, data definition is done using the DDL, and create, alter and drop are the primary part of those. Now once you have created the table, you would like to add data or manipulate data in that table. So we come to the DML, that is the data manipulation language, and we have insert, update and delete under the DML build. Like the name suggests, you add new records to the table using an insert command. You modify the existing records using an update command, and you remove the records using a delete command. Note the difference that drop removes the database object and delete removes the record from a particular database object or table. Then we come to the DCL or data control language, which has grant and revoke. The grant command is used to give certain privileges such as insert, update or delete to a specific user, and revoke does the opposite of that. The transactional control language consists of just two parts, that is the commit and a rollback. The commit command is used to permanently save the changes made within a transaction. For example, when you did an insert for 1000 records, you would like to save them into the database, so you would have to issue a commit command. You don't need to issue a commit command when you create a database object, but only when you are doing a data manipulation, for example, insert, update, and delete. The rollback command is used to undo the changes that you made within a transaction. Like if an error occurs during a transaction, or if you want to discard the changes, you can issue a rollback. Now, these all commands are manipulating the data or database objects. Sometimes you just want to query the data. For that, you issue a select command. Select command falls under the ambit of data query language, where you can select certain records from a table using this command. Not talking about the generic syntax of DDL, we could say that we issue create table name column and specify the data types of the columns, whether it is a number or a character, etc. Based on the relational database systems, we can create those tables using this syntax. Note that this syntax might vary slightly from one database vendor, Postgres for example, to Oracle to MySQL. But the skeleton is same for the DDL structure. Similarly, for the DML, we can issue an insert command like this, where we specify the table name, the columns in which the insert operation would happen, and the data points. Here, for example, insert into employee table, we specify first name, last name, and then we specify the data points. The data 1 will go to the column name 1 and data 2 will go to the column name 2. Similarly, for the select clause or the data query language, when we want to retrieve the rows from a table, the syntax followed is select column names from table name. If you want to select all the columns, we issue star in place of column name so that all the columns in a table are selected and displayed. I have highlighted this in yellow because the select and from are the mandatory parts of the select statement and whatever follows is optional. I'll talk about them later in the practical demonstration of how we use where group by having an order by clause, but for now, let's think of it as just to display the column or record values of a table, we issue a select command where we specify the column name from a particular table name. And coming to the syntax of SQL, it is not case sensitive. It can be uppercase, lowercase, camel case. The database engines, most of them do not differentiate the upper and the lower ones. And the SQL statement usually ends with a semicolon. If there are multiple SQL statements, the semicolon would be the differentiator between one versus the other. I hope you enjoyed this theoretical section of the SQL. Now let's go deeper into the practical application of all the things we have discussed in this lecture. Thank you.